What's every?
Yeah, what's up,
No,
everybody?
that's not it at all.
All
That's
right.
not how we start.
hmm
Oh shit!
We could have kept
What's
that
up,
in.
everybody? Huh?
We could have kept
See,
that in. Yeah, it's
it's
fine.
still
Yeah,
recording.
let's just go. We'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll go. All right,
We'll
and
fix it in post.
go. Yeah.
What's up, everyone? It's your boy Jeff here.
And I'm Darius, aka DMC.
All right, and we thought that it was time for us to address the elephant in the room. So, if you've noticed in recent episodes, it's only been the two of us, me and Darius, and you're probably wondering, like, what happened to our other castmates?
Yeah. So, just to give you all a little bit of history into this podcast and how we got to where we are now, back in 2023. Brandon, one of our previous castmates or our co-hosts, actually hit me, Jeff, and Sean up and said, "Hey, would you guys be interested in doing a podcast?"
Mhm.
And so it was really serendipitous because when he asked us to do that, probably maybe a month or a few weeks prior, I had talked to Jeff on the phone and I said, "Jeff, I said, I had a dream last night that you and I did a podcast. And in this dream, it was me and him doing the podcast. And the name came to me in the dream. Everything came to me in the dream. And so Just Drawz was the name that came to me, the meaning behind it, the fact that it's about being stripped down and raw and vulnerable as it relates to the topics that we're talking about. All of that stuff kind of came to me in that dream. So I told Jeff about it and, we kind of laughed it off and kind of kept moving with life. And so when Brandon hit us up and was like, "Hey, do y'all want to do a podcast?" We were like, I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "That's interesting that he asked that." So he was like, "Sure, yeah." I was like, "Oh, sure, that's cool." So in the weeks leading up to our pilot episode in August, we talked via group chat and we
Yep.
kind of kicked around ideas and we talked about names and things of that nature. And so there was one name that we were talking about at first, and I happened to go look it up and I was like, okay, there's a couple of podcasts that actually are using this exact same name. So let me throw out this other name to you all. So that's where Just Drawz came from. And so if you go back and listen to the first episode, you'll hear Jeff say, "Welcome to the tentatively titled Draws or Just
Yeah.
Drawz episode." So he said it, like that. So it was tentative at the time, but it kind of stuck and we began to kind of play with it and go with it. And, I felt like, okay, hey, Just Drawz will like bring people into the podcast, but then they'll stay for the content. And so ever
Yes.
since that day, we've been recording, as you all know, and we've had, segments and we've had guests on and stuff like that. So, we've just been growing since then.
Yeah. And obviously we've had, a change in format. We've went from audio only to video all the
hmm
time, where we've
hmm
gone from just CD to HD video.
That's right.
So we've definitely been investing and working on making the best podcast that we could make between all of us here at the podcast now. And then we even started that before our castmates left.
hmm
How did we get to that? Well, we had creative differences, um,
hmm
and that sometimes happens in the podcast space. And I think going in, we thought that was a possibility, but you always hope for the best. And in this situation, we all had, as Darius just said, we all wanted to do the podcast. We all had different ideas, but I don't think everyone had the same expectations. And then
hmm
over the course of recording episodes and trying to get into this space, take up a little bit more space in this podcast space, there were certain things that we needed to do or needed to try to do and work on. And we all just did not stack hands the same
hmm
way. And it came to a head. in a production meeting and words were said, loud, strong words. Some people clouded up and rained.
Yeah, some people left. Some people had a Real Housewives moment and dipped out.
Yeah. And it was not a good time for the four chums here at that time. So we kind of recovered from that a little bit, and was able to actually do episodes after that. But there were still some expectations that we had that were not being fulfilled. So unfortunately, those creative differences led to people deciding to leave or just step back from the show, and just letting it be a little bit of a smaller, tighter cast. And so the two of us decided, let's just march on forward with what the two of us can do and just see where things go. And as far as I am concerned, I would definitely be open to us having a square or a rectangle with our other castmates in the future, maybe as guests. We'll see if they would be open to that, but you never know. But there's no love lost between the four of us. I am in communication with our former castmates, and everything is okay. So we're in a good space personally, and we didn't want the podcast to be something that ruined our individual relationships with each other.
So I'm going to keep it a buck, as I always do. And while Jeff is always the more clinical of the two of us, I'm the more straightforward, kind of blunt. Some of the creative differences that we had within that production meeting and even leading into that production meeting really did, for me, shed some light on some deficiencies between me and one of the other castmates. And so while I would still be cordial with this specific person who I'm not going to name, but I would definitely still be cordial with this person. I am not in communication with him, and I absolutely don't wish any ill or anything negative. I wish him all the success, the happiness, the prosperity, the love that he absolutely deserves. But I, again, was just able to see that, okay, this is not working between you and I. And so he and I, again, are not in communication like that. But I will echo Jeff and say that I don't particularly have a problem with either of them coming back as guests for any future episode that we decide to do. I don't have any issue with that because I'm a professional. Okay. I know how to do what I need to do. I know how to turn it on when this camera comes on, and I know how to turn it off when this camera turns off. Oddly enough, I was already in that space when everybody was here. So there were some points where I turned it on when the camera was on, and when the camera was off, it was like, okay, I'm good. Let's wrap this up, kind of thing. But hopefully you all never would have seen that. And if you never saw that, that was mission accomplished, on my part. But again, I'm not angry about anything that happened. I think it happened the way that it was supposed to happen. And there were some things that I needed to see that I kind of seen earlier, but had just kind of let go for the sake of friendship and the sake of what I wanted things to be. But, it was like, okay, this is not going to work. So let me just kind of back away because I'm not showing up in the way that you need for me to show up, and it's taxing me. So again, like I said, I'm going to be the one that's a little bit more straightforward with it without naming names and without throwing, people under the bus or anything like that. But I do wish that specific person, that specific co-host, founding co-host of this podcast, all of the love, support, success, prosperity, everything, But I am in contact with the other co-host pretty regularly. So.
All right. So, with that said, we hope that you stick with us here at Just Draws,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and continue to just be here with us. We've got a lot coming up. Like we
Yeah.
already have our next season schedule. Our topics are kind of laid out already.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a whole spreadsheet with topics and guests
And
and
guests
dates
and
and
dates.
all of
Yeah.
that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we hope that you stick along with us for the ride,
Mm-hmm.
and are here for us as we grow.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Again, thank you for rocking with us. Thank you for
Thanks.
supporting us. Thank you for getting us to 100 subscribers on
That's right.
YouTube. Yeah, we made it. We were trying
101.
to, yeah, 101 now. So yeah, we were
Yeah,
trying to get to 100 by the end of the year. We didn't quite make it. We were like 4 off, but right after the new year, we popped in those 4 and then +1. So we hope that you will continue to support us and will continue to kind of be here for us. Like you said, we have a lot of things that we're trying to plan for our season 3 now. So, just be on the lookout for that.
that's right.
And come and talk to us. Follow us on social media. Let us know what you think about it. Let us know if there's anything that you would like to see us talk about or see us do on the show. We're definitely open for the critique and the
That's
criticism,
right.
as long as it's constructive, so we're definitely open for that.
Yeah, good and bad. And we still do have our survey up. So there's still
Yeah,
time to fill
yeah.
that up for our live show. And there's a section in the survey of anything that you want to see on our show. So there's still room for you to provide some input on that as well. So
All right. Yeah, absolutely. Thank y'all. We appreciate you.
thanks.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Now be sure to like, share, and follow us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, and Spotify at Just Drawz. That's JustDrawz.